everybody, and welcome to CLCI Live.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
We are going to get started here. But before we do, I want to just remind everybody to make sure that you subscribe. Press that subscribe button. We want to hear from you. Also, share this, save it, like it, tell people about it, do all those things. But please take a moment, subscribe to our channel. It's important. And we appreciate every single person that does it. And we're also streaming live, so please join in on the conversation. We want to hear from you. We are monitoring comments, so we are excited to hear from each and every one of you. Today, we'll talk about our topic, but I'm going to let you guys introduce this topic.
So we are done with Marketing 101, and we moved on to Emotions 101. Also, unrelated, it was Brooke's birthday on Sunday, the 7th.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Say happy birthday in the comments if you want to wish Brooke a happy birthday. If you don't do anything. So we're talking Emotions 101, and we are talking about the bad emotions first, jealousy and envy, I think. Oh, Emotions 101. What do you learn from comparison, envy, and jealousy?
Hi, thanks, Kat.
Hi, Kat.
So yes, we were talking about comparison, envy, jealousy, all of those things. I was going to mention I chose this topic because in all of my sessions, and within the last year that I've done, inevitably at some point with every client, if not more often than not, this topic comes up where my client is comparing themselves to people they have seen out there in the world, on Instagram, in any number of places. Social media comes up a lot. And so it's just something, this topic that I think is very prevalent in our clients, and in, it's definitely factoring into their decision-making processes.
I think among coaches too.
Coaches as well. Absolutely. I think everybody, this affects everyone. So I don't think anybody is capable of escaping that the emotions of envy, jealousy, and then comparison as well. So I'm going to shut up now and let you guys talk for a little bit.
So what is there an actual practical difference between envy and jealousy?
Yes, we got to lay the foundation for what these words mean.
And they've been what we have found, which was interesting, that we've used them just interchangeably, in a sense, and maybe as a society have not used one as much because we had a more negative connotation with it.
So what are those foundational meanings? What do we mean by jealous versus envious? Because that'll be a distinction we're probably going to just make, later on in our live when we're talking about we're envious of somebody or we're jealous of them, what the practical difference is. So I guess to you guys, what does it mean?
I'm going to say right straight up, I've used them interchangeably like my whole life. So
Yeah.
I'm probably mess it up and keep doing that. I'm not gonna lie. But they do technically, grammatically have differences in meaning, and I would think our grammar human Anthony would be able to help us with that. But go ahead, Lisa.
I found I had my note because I want to keep it straight too. It's very easy to interchange these, and a lot of this last bit that I picked up from Brene Brown in her Atlas of the Heart book, which is kind of cool. She's got all kinds of emotions in there. She does speak about envy occurring when we want something that another person has. Jealousy is the fear of losing a relationship or valued part of the relationship that we already have. Or imagine a relationship towards something. I think I had an example in here that she told us. Go ahead. I hear somebody talking. No. She gave a example of envy, and the negative concept is I want that, and I don't want you to have it. I also want you to be pulled down and put down. And then I've labeled it as more positive. She doesn't label it that way. I want that, but you can have it too. And I don't want you to be put out or pulled down. So a positive spin is, I like that. I want it. Let's have it together concept, that envy space. And then the jealousy she was mentioning is kind of a combination of feeling anger and sadness or fear. And in that space of not feeling self-worth in there. That's where that comparison comes in as well.
So
Can
envy,
you highlight Kat's comment as well?
so based on what you just said though, Lisa,
Yeah.
envy can be, I want what you have, period.
Yeah.
Or it can be, I want what you have and I don't want you to have it because of all this other
Yeah.
junk that comes
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I thought that was jealousy. So this whole time I thought, I want what you have is envy, and then I want what you have, but I don't want you to have it, or you don't deserve to have it. I thought that was
Well,
jealousy. So
easy.
I am wrong.
Yeah. Kat brings up a good example, and I'll go into what the inverse would look like as jealousy. She says, I can feel envious that my partner went to see a movie I wanted to see with someone else without being jealous of their time together.
Yes.
So the envy comes in the fact that, oh, you saw the movie that I wanted to see, and
Yeah.
I envy that in you. The inverse, if you felt jealousy, was, well, I don't really care that you saw a movie. I don't care about the movie. I'm jealous that you spent your time with someone else other than me.
Yeah.
So jealousy, you're afraid that something that you possess is being taken away from you, or something that is owed to you is being taken by someone else. That seems like what jealousy is versus envy, which I guess envy, you also covet something. Like you have to covet or want something, and then somebody else has to think.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a great article I popped in by Merriam-Webster that does a comparison of jealousy versus being envious. Also, we'll always the one thing I love about grammar and about language is that we, in practical use of language, we are capable of just changing the definitions of things. If enough people are doing it and using it in a certain way, it automatically makes it so. So the fact that a large amount of the population uses these words interchangeably will, in essence, allow them to be understood and used interchangeably. So we're not saying that anybody is wrong.
It tells me that they're uneducated swine, but sure.
Oh,
We'll go with what Brooke said.
It's there's a great discussion on this for the word. What is it? Oh no! What is that word that everybody always uses wrong and has now become a word? The use of it in the incorrect manner has become a word, and people, it upsets people. Once I think of what word it is, I will share it with you. However, again, we've sort of covered this. I'm not jealous. I'm envious. Jealousy is when you worry that someone will take what you have. Envy is wanting what someone else has. In a very simple.
In the words of Homer Simpson.
In the words of Homer Simpson, yes.
But meanwhile, we're all
Anthony,
saying.
Can we get your Homer Simpson impression, please?
I was thinking about it, but it was too low of a hanging fruit.
Oh, okay, we're not doing
refrain for a minute.
And these are natural human emotions. We're not passing judgment on anybody who feels these things, right? There's something that happens within us, and it's about. I think, as always, emotions are a roadmap to what is going on inside of us, and so, and by virtue of that, also a roadmap to what is going on inside of our clients, and indications of what they are feeling and things that are happening inside them. And so, important tools for us to know, because they can highlight highlight things. As I said, this is something that has come up with my clients over and over again, where they are comparing themselves to people in Instagram and in other places. And I'm not passing judgment on that comparison, but that comparison is a big shining light for me, the coach, to ask questions into those comparisons and into what those comparisons mean to our clients and for my clients. And so they're really great tools for us as coaches to tap into. And also us as coaches, something we no doubt will experience when we put ourselves out there in the world. I, again, feel like I've been babbling. So
there's a lighter question now. Would you guys describe yourself as more jealous or more envious?
Now that I'm learning the difference here.
Now you're learning the difference. Are you
I think
prone
I'm
to
more-
envy or prone to jealousy?
Prone to being more envious, not jealous.
Yeah, same. And I'm prone to being more like, I want that too. Not like that I think that person shouldn't have it, or
Yeah, I
it's
don't
not
want
like
to take
resentful.
anybody's success. There's not like, I feel like jealousy, there's like an element of like anger. Like there's this like deep-seated sort of thing going on when if it's getting to that point where like, I don't want you to have it, I want to take it away from you. Like there's something deeper going on there that I just don't possess in most cases, I would say. But like, I think there's like a hurt there that's happening. But being envious, like, oh man, that's like FOMO, and I can absolutely experience some FOMO now and again, for sure. Like I can get like, oh, I really want to see that. Like if Anthony had gone to Dune without me, I would have been very upset about that. Like
1000% considered just going and not telling you.
Because I just would have been like, I want to go see it. I want to go see it, and I want to go see it with you so we can discuss it afterwards and experience it. And like, you know what I mean? So that would be a moment of enviousness if that had happened. But I can also be envious, but also celebrate other people's successes, right? At the same time, I can be happy for someone else while being envious of what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think envy is much easier to navigate than when jealousy comes up, because like you mentioned, you can be still appreciative of something that somebody else has going for them, but I think you can also apply that to yourself and work to a point where you also can achieve what it is that you're envious of, and it could work out for both of you guys. But jealousy seems like, again, I agree, there's like a hostile nature kind of.
I think it's easier to spin envy than it is to spin jealousy.
Yeah, I feel like I can use envy for good, but I will probably undoubtedly use jealousy for bad.
And that's so unlike you.
It's like like one will turn me into a superhero and one will turn me into a supervillain. Like is what I feel like.
No, I'm definitely more envious than I am jealous. I can't recall anything.
That's what I'm trying
jealousy
to think
like, but envy.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I will say, like when I was in
time, we've all been jealous. We've all been there. We're human.
Yeah.
It's impossible. We did not grow up perfect, and perfect life does not happen. Stuff happens. But I can't think of one.
Oh, I can't. So I dated a very negative human being that was a very he was master manipulator, liar, cheater.
Brooke, stop talking about us.
A full-blown cheating situation where I was being gaslit, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so when you find out somebody is cheating, there's a whole whirlwind of emotions that happen, right? And jealousy is part of that, and like there is an anchor behind it. What's weird about me, and I'm glad I got myself out of that situation, is I was able to like spin that and just become very numb to it, and just like, I don't know, I probably should have been angrier than I was. I moved to a place of just like acceptance, and like I've got a quicker probably than most human beings do. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. It was just what I had to do to get through it and stop feeling the things I was feeling, right? Like those feelings were not emotions I wanted to have. Jealousy was not an emotion I wanted to have, but it was definitely something I experienced and I had to work through and acknowledge and get to the other side of. And something that you have to you got to work through all that stuff not to carry it with you to the next thing too, right? Like you can't let that stuff haunt you. So I will say absolutely in a moment I have. Oh, think of a sibling.
Yeah.
I'm so much older than my brother and sister that I don't like have serious. But my brother and sister, when they were
Jealous
growing
of
up,
their youth.
they really experienced that between each other. I'll say my brother is definitely like, now that he's moved though, it's totally balanced out. Like when he lived here, he was the boy and the favorite, like the favorite. Like he was the boy. At least for my mom, like 100%. But now that he lives in Austin, I have moved into that spot because he's just not around to be the favorite. And now I'm here and I get to like spoil my mom and visit her. And so
Interesting stuff I'm learning.
Will it turn into jealousy though when he comes back?
no.
The saga
Absolutely.
continues.
1000%.
Yeah.
I love
Anthony,
him so much.
what was it you were saying the other day about being jealous of, who was it? Tony Robbins. What were you saying about that?
What
What?
was I saying? Was
Was
it?
Anthony having a
you're
Anthony's
you're gonna have to
having-
jog my memory a little bit, Jen.
You were saying, you're telling me how jealous you were of Tony Robbins and how you want to be him and all that.
I think Jen is making stuff up right now. That is absolutely not true. I think Jen is both gaslighting me and I don't know what. I don't know if you're doing a bit right now, Jen. Either. Like, am I forgetting something, or is this real life?
I'm sure it was probably Anthony doing a bit.
Yeah, that had to have been sarcasm.
Yeah, I think
that
that
came
was
out of his mouth.
Or Jen could be doing a
Yeah.
bit too. I can tell.
I don't.
I'm gonna let you guys wonder.
I'm gonna call that Jen is doing a bit right now. But it was good enough bit that it got under my skin. No, it was not the case. Never said that. No, I don't think.
that-
Oh, go
So
on.
we are really talking about these perspectives as a heavier side to, besides the one where I want you to have it too in that envy place. What do we do with it with our clients? Brooke, you said you've had your clients and that brought this idea up for you. What
I've had a few.
what's occurred as a tool?
What's interesting is one specific case that stands out to me. It was brought up for all intents and purposes that like this is a mom and she was comparing herself to other moms and
We all do that.
how that mom,
I don't do that.
how those moms appear to like have so much more energy and be so much more capable. And be able to throw these just ridiculous parties for their kids and all of these things on Instagram and we were coaching in a space of just sort of her just wanting to manage some emotions that come up in being in being a mom and the way it was a multifaceted thing and I don't want to say too much. So but that was brought up and part of me, there's part of me as a coach that wants to go, oh, don't do that. You're just getting a tiny small lens. What's the whole, that's not the whole picture. They're showing you the best. They're not showing you, but you can't say those things as a coach, right? You gotta, that's all of my stuff that I just have to take a back seat and I listen. But what was interesting is with her is she would constantly say, but I don't want to talk about that right now. Like, I don't want to coach. I don't want to coach on that right now. I don't want to think about that right now. I don't want to. And she would keep saying that, but it kept coming up like this comparison. But then she would say she doesn't want to. And so eventually I had to ask into it. And this has happened a couple times with clients where they are bringing up a comparison, but they don't want to talk about it. And then I have to eventually, once it comes up several times, I have to go pump the brakes for a moment. I'm going to just stop you there for a second. I've heard this topic come up a few times and you've said you don't want to talk about it, but you're still keep bringing it up. So I'm just wondering, can you tell me what that's about? Right? Tell me what that's about. And it's this opportunity to ask into this thing that I think comes with a lot of shame. I think there is a sense of shame and embarrassment that comes up, and I think it's multifaceted. I think it comes from a space of being ashamed that they just even are using social media and comparing themselves because they know better, right? We all know better, but we still do it. And then I think the other piece is that actual tangible feeling that they're feeling from that comparison, that feeling of insecurity, of envy, of not feeling good enough, of all of those things that come up but we want to tuck it away because we're serious human beings. We know we're not supposed to take social media seriously, right? We're not, so because we're serious human beings, we're not taking it seriously. So we don't want to talk about that. But it keeps coming up. So eventually it's like, okay, this is affecting you. I'm going to ask into it. Because from my perspective, from my observation, I'm seeing that there is an effect being had. And if you're bringing it up over and over, I'm going to make that observation and ask into that observation. Now, does it mean if that client still says to me, I don't want to talk about it, I'm not going to push that. But most of them, every single time, they talk into it. It's not, I've never once had somebody, when I make that observation, go shut down and say, I don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason for that is because they know they know that it's silly on some level, right? They know that it's not true on some level, but they also know it's affecting them. So they're almost, I think, by bringing it up, asking for permission to talk about it.
Well, I think
a roundabout way.
in addition to that, they are also checking to see, are you a safe person to bring it up with? Because I know I feel silly about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know to compare it to that is not really a reasonable discussion, but I need to know that you're going to be the safe person for me to go to and not say something that makes me feel worse.
Such a good point. Imagine the damage we could do if we have this person that's insecure about it and bringing it up, and we tell them how much they shouldn't compare themselves and how silly it is for them to compare themselves, because now we have just shut down what they're feeling. And that's why it's so important that when I make that observation, I'm not making a judgment about what I'm observing. I'm just bringing up that observation. I'm not telling them that it's wrong or right for them to be making that comparison, that what they should or should not be doing. I am simply making that observation and asking them what it means to them. And that's what creates that safe space. If I did what all of that stuff that happens inside me and did that, like caretaking, that don't do that, it's okay, I've shut down their opportunity to process this thing that they're already not processing because they feel silly about it. And so by not making that judgment, it gives them a safe space, like Lisa said, which is a fantastic point, for them to explore the emotions that come up when they're having those comparisons.
Yeah, because they're not giving themselves that space. And finally, now you are, and which you giving that space is actually giving them permission to give themselves that space. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's I think that's a good lesson too. I was coaching another client. There's a whole other person. I can think of at least 3 clients now in the last few weeks where something like this has come up. And I was writing a note to myself to ask, like in the middle of the session while she was speaking, I'm still paying attention, but I was just quick shot, right? I have to ask Lisa, Jen, and Misha, like essentially, how do we handle situations where clients aren't wanting to discuss something that they keep bringing up? But then I just realized, I said to myself, okay, wait, this is my opportunity to ask into it. And it happened. I did, and everything came out organically, and I didn't even have to ask that question. But I just thought it was really interesting that like I was taking that beat in that moment with like, how do I handle this? And then it just, instead I just sat in the process and trusted it, and it happened very naturally and organically. So it was a cool moment.
Usually when you go into that space, you ask for permission. You know, I'm noticing, I'm going to use some generic words. I'm noticing this pattern that but before you even go there, it's, can I share something with you that I'm noticing? And are they going to say no? Probably not. They go, yeah, go ahead. And so that permission, I think what I'm noticing is there seems to be something that's present, that talking about parenting, has shown up a few times. What do you notice about it? I mean, you could take it into that place, but asking that permission to delve in there is really important, because once they say yes, then they're going to open up a little more to you as well, most likely. So with that, we're in this comparison and this envy, jealousy space, is there growth that can occur from that?
I think so, for sure. Yeah.
When you think of growth, how would you help a client through that? When they say, I'm so jealous of blah, 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 blah.
I think, first of all, doing away with the assumption that either the emotion jealousy or envy should be dispelled or gotten rid of.
Yep.
Because, you know, when we talk about emotions, the immediate assumption is we should get rid of negative emotions, have more positive emotions. But I don't see a reason. I'm not of the assumption that jealousy and envy are bad things. And you should aim to not be jealous or not be envious. Now, they can come along with bad things later on, but as a coach, you should recognize before you even start this process that jealousy is fine, envy is fine. They can work towards goals that a client has for growth. So at that point, you ask the client, what do you want to do with these emotions, for one? And two, will what you want to do with these emotions help achieve your goal, the long-term goal we set either for the session or for the overarching coaching relationship? And then you go from there. My money is probably the client will say, oh, I don't want to feel this way. I don't like feeling jealous or envious, or it's causing issues, because they wouldn't have brought it up. It wouldn't have come up in the coaching session really anyways at that point, or maybe they wouldn't even have recognized it as jealousy or envy. But I think the first question should be, what do you want to do with this?
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to use your jealousy or envy towards whatever is going on?
Oh, it's bringing up a what's funny is, and I didn't exactly use the words like how do you want to use this emotion or what have you, but there was another client that I was working with, and she was envious of a similar business to hers social media strategy, essentially. And essentially it was that their willingness to sort of just break rules, unabashedly express themselves, do things that maybe she would be very uncomfortable doing. And so it wasn't about the jealousy that I asked into. I asked into, well, like, what is preventing you from doing what this account is doing? What is preventing you from doing what this business is doing? You know, and that was a great opportunity for her to then explore a whole bunch of deeper blocks and emotions that came up that were keeping her from sort of embracing a social media strategy that would be more in the lane of this other company that she really looked up to and envied. And it was a really powerful moment for her, where she sort of had to do this balancing act between, like, okay, wait, this protects me this way, but it keeps me from doing this. So what do I want more? And it wasn't about saying that the reasons that she did it were wrong, that prevented her were wrong. It was her balancing, what does she want more of? This thing that she has been protecting her, keeping her safe, or this risky thing that she was nervous about doing. So it was a really powerful moment. Yeah.
In each of your examples that you've provided and throughout the discussion, what I'm hearing is that these kinds of sharings, these kinds of word choices that our clients utilize can really be a pivotal moment in a coaching session. Really drive that pivot to thinking about this, whatever this is, in a different manner that supports them. That sounds pretty positive.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this powerful moment where there's this comparison and there's something deeper there. There's something going on there. And it's that moment where we can just keep coaching the problem, or we can find a way to coach that person. And ask deeper into it, and talk, like, to Anthony's point, any negative emotion can be a powerful catalyst for change
Oh, absolutely.
and
I
growth.
mean, you should also probably just do away with the assumption of negative and positive
Yeah.
emotions.
Any emotion can be a powerful catalyst for
Just-
change and growth.
The emotions
Oh.
exist for a reason. It's like
Yeah.
what we ask our clients, like, well, what's the benefit of X, Y, and Z? And they're like, there's no benefit. It's all bad. In regards to their actions. But really, they're doing whatever course of action or they're feeling whatever emotion for a reason. So let's investigate that reason and see if we can use that as a force for change or positive change when it's directed towards like an individual's goal.
What's interesting, I mean, like in that moment when you have a client say there's no benefit, it isn't serving me, blah, blah, blah. What I hear when a client says that is there's something about that they're not acknowledging about themselves. Like that's what that right there, that's to me is a big denial. I'm hearing denial. If I'm hearing deeper, I'm not going to take their word for it. When they say there is no benefit, I'm going to go, really? You know, are you sure? Because right, that to me is a big denial. That I'm hearing a giant denial when somebody says to me, "There's no benefit." Well, you wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't a benefit. I'm not going to say that to the client, but that's what I hear, and so then I'm going to ask again about that, and I'm going to tap deeper into that moment with that client, and not just let it slide. Unless like I'm in a moment, there's like a bigger purpose. I think there are moments we absolutely let slide because it's not the right time or something else is going on. It's not the bigger issue essentially, or the bigger thing that we're working on. But for sure, one of those things. If I heard a client say that, that would be a moment for me to go, do I want to tap in deeper to that right now? Because
if
there's
it
something
was
not
serving you, what would that be? What would that look like?
Hypothetically.
So this comparison, we've been talking a lot about how it works for our clients. Can we tap into this? I think it's pretty obvious and pretty straightforward, but ICF wrote an entire article about this comparison trap for coaches and how coaches experience it. What are your thoughts in that space?
I mean, good and bad things. I can see jealousy, for example, work as a way to, I think we were talking about like keeping your clients last time, or like ways to retain your clients. Like be a jealous business owner and retain those clients. Don't let those clients go to other places and leave your services. Because I mean, for one, that's their income, obviously. But two, like I can see, and this is now I'm getting to why that's a bad thing, because you're holding on to a coaching relationship that might not be serving your client anymore. They might be done with the coaching and ready to they're not moving on to different coaching in the same niche because they don't like you. They're just done with being coached for a while. And some coaches might be jealous of that, or they might not like that their clients moving on without them. And that could be a negative reason or negative way jealousy impacts your business versus the positive way where you're asserting why you as a coach are the best option. And so I guess we're talking into solution awareness, why you're the best solution for your clients needs, essentially. So that's a good way why jealousy could spurn you to retain clients that you have good relationships with. Envy, we see directed at other coaches, at other life coaches who you may think are doing better than you, or maybe actually are doing better than you.
So,
And that's
go ahead, Jen. Yeah,
that's a big one, because you really never know how someone is doing in their business. They could be, you just don't know. They could have no clients, they could be in debt, but yet their social media is immaculate and looks phenomenal and presents them as this top tier professional coach. You just don't know. And so it's just not,
unless they're like a publicly traded business and you can see their like earnings reports every quarter, you're not going to know, really.
You know, it's funny. A really practical sort of, I guess, another example in a different field is I teach Pilates. I teach mat Pilates. I teach bar, but especially in mat Pilates, this is something I say a lot because it's really easy when we're doing particular moves that are very difficult. And there's like I have moves that there's a prep, there's a 1, there's a 2, and there's a 3, and I will start everybody at the prep, but then I'm going to keep certain people at the prep. Those who have mastered, I'll move to the 1, and then the 2 and the 3, and we'll build, and we're building it up. But I'm like, my biggest reminder in all those moments is don't compare yourself to anybody else in this room.
Mhm.
Only compare yourself to yourself. That's where you want to do your big comparison from, is where was I a week ago compared to how I am now? Where was I a month ago compared to how I am now? Because the moment you start to compare yourself to someone else, you have no clue. Like if we're talking, like if there are certain moves where if I have a big butt and thick thighs, that move's super easy for me, so I can do it. But it's a lot harder for somebody else who's like really well endowed up top and they have thin legs. And so if you're looking and comparing yourself to someone, that has nothing to do with your skill set. That has to do entirely with you know, Mother Nature and the way you were built. And that is not, you know, you can't beat yourself up for that. That's not fair. And so like there's this big doing that comparison when you're comparing yourself to somebody else is just not realistic. It's not, and it's dangerous and damaging, I think. I mean, mind you, we can use it to motivate, but there's a really wonderful, I love the example in the beginning of this article, and I'm just going to read the first paragraph. But I love the vulnerability of this coach to share this moment in this ICF article. And also just the really, like, I think anybody could relate to this. And she said, I was mindlessly scrolling through Instagram when all of a sudden I saw it. One of my favorite former clients, I will call her Katie, and my celebrity coach crush together. I couldn't believe my eyes or the flood of emotions in my heart. Why was Katie there? Why didn't she tell me she was going to be in the area attending that event? If she wanted to work with a coach, why didn't she come back to me? What does that coach have that I don't? My head was spinning, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. With the flood of my adrenaline, of the adrenaline in my brain, I was processing this Instagram picture as a threat. And I'll share more into like how she worked through that. But how would that make any of us feel?
Mhm.
That's a double whammy of jealousy and envy right there.
Right? The coach, my coach crush. She's with my coach crush.
That's like,
What does that mean? Is that like Tony Robbins for
I guess
Anthony?
I would guess
no.
it's like some
Also,
big name
Jen,
coach that
I
she-
searched. I did a search of Slack in the meantime, and the last time I mentioned Tony Robbins was him having a child with Jay Shetty.
Oh, look at him. Oh my God. So
So unless you have receipts, you can zip it.
So my coach crush was Judith Glasser, who's passed away. So I could totally relate to that story in that sense of seeing someone else that I was in class with over there. They had a party. So absolutely, I would. That's where that envy.
Why
popped
wasn't
its
I
head.
invited? All these things, right? Like, wait, I used to coach her. Why doesn't she want to coach me? Why am I not good enough?
Yeah.
So many emotions could come up from that moment. I mean, I love, right? Like, I want to know if she wants, why didn't I get invited? Exactly. So what's really cool in the next bit she shared, my emotions were getting the best of me until I took a step back to explore the facts. I had gifted Katie the Celebrity Coach's book for her birthday. She loved it. She loved the lessons in the book. She felt understood. And so she started following that celebrity coach online. When the coach went on tour for her new book, Katie was there to support her. Isn't that beautiful? In a small way, I did that. And most importantly, it helped Katie. And isn't that what being a coach is about? Meeting our clients where they are, empowering them to go after what they want and need in life. Looking at the picture again, as my emotions were fading away, I now saw the huge smile on Katie's face. I clicked the love icon and I left a comment telling Katie that I couldn't wait to hear more about the experience, and I meant it. So, but I could understand that entire process.
Yeah.
Like, I was with her on that.
Yeah,
process.
for
So,
sure.
We
as
should
a
say
coach.
who this was. This is by Laura. I don't know how to say her name. Geminder.
Yeah,
I guess.
I'm that sounds close to me. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love this article. I posted it already in the in art. So if you guys want to read the rest of it, she goes into comparison and jealousy and tells more. But I just thought that was a really relatable share that she did at the start of this article, and something that all of us as coaches could definitely understand and tap into. Again, it's coming back to that point of we can't compare ourselves to other coaches. We can't, all of these things, and being happy for that client that is going after what she wants, getting the opportunity to keep growing and learning and expanding and all of those things.
Or we can compare, but we can address the things that we are admiring about that person. And if we need to grow that piece of ourselves, use that as a catalyst to move in that walk.
There's a good point, Lisa, because I wanted to add, we do comparisons all the time, Brooke, at CLCI. We're comparing ourselves to the schools constantly, and I'm doing research into so if you're watching this IPEC or what other, I can't remember the last school we were talking about, Jen, that I asked you about.
I don't remember either.
It's the one with the 2 days.
Plus, I don't want to name drop it.
I'm going to name drop. We're watching you guys. Okay? And we're comparing ourselves. It's not jealousy, though. It's more so you can compare yourself to other coaches and other businesses, but you have to do so in the tangible ways that you actually have information on. One of the ways we do comparisons is SEMrush. Looking at the internet traffic between 2 websites, or if you're a coach, yourself and other coaches who are in your niche, you can do that and then come up with ways to improve your numbers so that you get more website traffic. And if you really want to compete with them, put ads out and, buy ads in the same space.
And I think doing a realistic comparison is important. I had a moment today where I was like, man, I should have done my life different. Like, I was like beating myself up because I was like comparing myself. I was like, I'm 42. I should have done X, Y, and Z by now and been saving more and been in, like all of these. And it came out of a conversation with a friend of mine who's, 13 years younger than me. And she is really got her stuff together with regard to like savings and IRA and all of it. And not that I don't, but I feel like I'm only just starting to do these things. Like I feel like I started late in the game. Like I should have been on top of this a long time ago. And I wasn't and haven't been. And so I started to do this comparison. I was like, I just suck. And then Anthony hit me with some reality, and he did like, okay, but wait.
What I love doing.
You are not even comparing yourself realistically right now. Let's sit down and look at some numbers. Let's figure it out. I mean, and I was like, okay, you're right. Like I'm not doing fair comparisons for myself, right? Mm-hmm. I'm being unfair to myself right now.
Yeah.
And how is that serving me? I haven't explored that yet.
That's such a good call out though on the distinction between a fair comparison versus a completely ridiculous, unfair, unreasonable comparison. Yeah.
I think we probably left out an emotion in all of this because like we're talking about comparison and like envy and jealousy. It's like when you desire something that you don't yet have or might be taken away. There's also like conceit and pridefulness in comparison. Like, what if you're doing your comparison, you find out, oh, like I'm hot shit right now, and you mistakenly believe you can rest on your laurels. That is probably more dangerous, in my opinion, than just normal jealousy or envy, because then you get complacent, and someone else out there who might be envious or jealous of you might, take your place. Because they're hungry, they're willing to do what it takes, and they might push you out of the space where you felt like you were, at the top.
The Netflix Blockbuster is the best example of that in the world. Where Blockbuster, there's a lot of reasons Blockbuster was approached by Netflix when they were just coming up and coming, and Netflix said, we're going to be doing this thing. People are going to be able to stream from their house. They're not going to have to come and rent a movie. They're going to be able, it wasn't that. We're just going to mail DVDs to their, and Blockbuster was like, screw off. We are turning you down right now. We're shutting it down. And they approached them several times trying to get them to invest and partner with them. And several times Blockbuster shot them down. And now look at today. Who do we have? And who exists and who doesn't?
Well, Blockbuster also utilized their mail, order and mail thing as well. But
they tried to, but it was too late, too late at that point. Yeah.
I wonder.
I still go to my local Blockbuster on the corner of the street over here.
You still have a Blockbuster? That might be the last one in the
Jen is visiting a burnt out crack house.
Oh my God.
At this point now.
Full of jokes today.
Sorry, I'm in a weird mood tonight.
I love it. Well, I mean, Redbox is the closest thing to that, I think.
Yeah.
But the point of this is
Wait, before you go there, hold that, because I want to address what you're saying. Before we were talking about comparison, and under comparison in Brené's book, she's got admiration, reverence, envy, jealousy, resentment. I don't know what this word is. Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Schadenfreude is a German word which means forgetting joy in the suffering of others.
Right. Shadow joy. It translates to shadow joy.
And then Fruden.
What? Schadenfreude.
No, there was another F one.
Or Schadenfreude, I think.
German gobbledygook. It's not real.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Gesundheit. That's another German word.
Never mind. Anyway.
You fought that one, bro.
We're sassy
Oh
today.
my God.
We have a sassy group today.
Oh my gosh. Kat joined us on a really funny night.
So what were you saying, Lisa?
As you were saying,
I lost it completely now.
Okay, so then we go back to Anthony. Is that Anthony?
What I was saying was there's like a saying in like investing where it's like past performance is not indicative of future results. When you're doing comparison, just because you are having a hard time now doesn't mean you're going to have a hard time later. And just because you are successful now compared to your peers does not mean you'll continue to be successful. Comparison will only really get you so far. You need to.
That makes me a little sad though, because I would really love to like just achieve success and know that it will be sustainable forever with as little work as little or as less work possible. Like
it will not happen, and so that's why. And now Schadenfreude is taking place when you're doing comparison and you're envious and jealous of other people. Just know they'll probably end up suffering later in their lives, and you can feel good about that. So, like, you don't have to sit in that jealousy or envy. You can front load your Schadenfreude and feel good now about that.
I want to say one of the dangerous things about comparison is, I think typically when we compare, it's usually a hyperfixation on like one area of life or one particular just variable, as opposed to maybe an understanding of everything around you. So I think, it can be really easy to get, stuck in that hole saying, compared to somebody else, they're, superior and I'm not. But I think it's important to kind of look at the rest of what you got going on, because sometimes that could be you're superior in a different area where they wish and wake up every day that they, had better success in whatever that might be.
Yeah, very true. You're comparing sometimes. So can I share a metaphor that I heard today?
No.
Possibly. Yes.
So it was called the staircase paradox of comparison. And so you visualize that you're on a staircase, right? And so what Jerome's speaking of, we could just be talking about one aspect of our lives is that staircase. So let's just say my coaching business. And I visualize myself on this part of the staircase. And then I look over and someone else is on like this part of the staircase. And all I'm doing is looking up and going, oh my God, I have so far to go. I'm never going to get there. This is so hard. But where I should be looking to create real comparison is I should be looking down from where I started and how far I've come. So I should be looking at my ascension and
Look
comparing
down
it.
on other people is what Jen is saying.
All
And
I was
comparing.
Is like, how do I turn this into an escalator? Or like, I'm just comparing the person next to me whose staircase is an escalator, and I'm like,
Yes.
Well, actually, that's
another
that's
part
I
of
have
it.
to use my legs.
But that's another part of it, is that you can be comparing yourself. You're here on the staircase, they're here on the staircase. But what you didn't see is they got put in an elevator to get up there. They got handed something, or they had this that morphed into this. You don't know that they walked
They're
all those
twins.
stairs that
One
you're
is
trying
here
to.
downstairs,
Climbing
the other
upstairs
one
for
is
80 years, you know, like, yeah, agreed.
But yeah,
I
I
like
like
these
that as a visual, and in terms of, okay, when I'm looking up, as long as I remember to look down and make sure that I'm acknowledging, you know, how far I've come and what I've done to get to where I'm at, that's kind of a way to almost like recalibrate when I'm stuck in that, oh, I still have so far to go. Because I do that sometimes with my coaching business. When I'm comparing to other coaches, I'm like, oh God, I still have so far to go. But it's like, hold on a second, Jen, look down, because you've come really far from when you first got certified. And you know, yeah.
What's the saying? Don't forget to stop and smell the flowers once in a while, pretty much.
Yeah.
and
By
then
the way,
compare those flowers to other flowers, and then be jealous of
Yeah.
people smelling your flowers.
so yeah, if we have Schadenfreude, the other one would be Freudenfreude,
Freudenfreude.
taking pleasure in or joy in other people's success. So I would rather be practicing Freudenfreude.
I guess that's fine.
I love that, Cat. Trust karma. Yes.
Oh, that was in response to my hopefully other people will suffer remark.
Oh.
I was said it with tongue in cheek. But yeah, sure. That as well.
I think this will wrap up the end of our live here. We're about done. So any final thoughts at all? Anything we want to finish up with? Say at the end here?
My final thought is jealousy and envy are an indicator of something else that's going on. And if you or your client are feeling that way, that is an opportunity to investigate and discover how those emotions can be used and to what purpose. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just there and there to be dealt with.
And,
We're not that one.
and we're not going to correct our clients if they're using the words interchangeably. We're just going to ask them to define that.
Unless you're a grammar coach.
Unless you're a grammar coach, yes.
Anyone else final thoughts?
Thanks for joining us, Cat. That's what I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks, Kat. I'll just add, Anthony, I found your personal Reddit account.
You what?
And I've got to tell you, you got to lay off the Tony Robbins subreddit. You are just all up in
now
it.
Jen is making up things. She's lying. Why don't you
Oh my
post
goodness.
then, huh? Post my username. Say it right now.
Oh, I like that. For a second, you were really concerned about that.
I was a little bit concerned.
There was some genuine concern happening.
Jerome, final thoughts?
What you guys said.
Gotcha. So Jerome's in agreement with me.
My final thoughts is I also know your personal Reddit account, Anthony, and yeah, seriously, like, just lay off the Tony Robbins maybe a little bit.
Oh, all right. So like, subscribe,
Share, comment.
share,
Good stuff.
comment.
Take our classes as well.
Yes,
You can
or
be-
call us and talk to us about taking our classes. That's always an option too.
If you're envious of people who are already certified, take our classes and then be better than them.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right, thank
We'll
you
see you
so
guys